The mist hung heavy over Havenwood, dampening the scent of pine and salt air. It was a place built on quiet routines and shared histories, where secrets rarely stayed buried for long. My life, too, felt wrapped in that familiar, comfortable haze. A history teacher at the local middle school, married to Olivia for 15 years, 2 kids, a house with a garden I fussed over on weekends. Outwardly, we were the picture of small-town stability. Inwardly, a quiet anxiety had begun to coil in my gut over the past 2 years, a feeling I'd initially dismissed as the natural drift of a long marriage, or perhaps my own inadequacy. Olivia, always vibrant and sharp, had become distant. Not just physically, though the late nights at her advertising agency became more frequent, always explained away as urgent campaigns or unexpected client demands. It was an emotional distance, a subtle withdrawal that left me feeling like I was navigating our life alone. My attempts to connect, to ask about her day, to plan a date night, were often met with a polite nod, a quick change of subject, or sometimes a sharp, dismissive sigh. I'd blame myself, of course. Had I become boring? Had I let myself go? I'd read articles online, tried to initiate conversations about our connection, but she'd just say, "You should know, Ethan. I shouldn't have to tell you." How could I fix something I didn't understand? Then came the smaller things, the details that didn't fit. A local coffee shop cup, the Salty Bean, a place she usually found too quaint, in her car's cup holder, still warm. When I asked, she vaguely mentioned a quick stop on the way home, but her eyes flickered away. A text notification flashed on her phone screen one evening as she lay beside me in bed, a snippet visible before she snatched it up with startling speed. The furious, defensive way she asked, "What are you looking at?" when I hadn't even leaned closer. These weren't just signs of distance, they felt like signs of hiding. The pit in my stomach deepened, cold and heavy like a stone dropped into the ocean. It wasn't just my failure anymore. It felt like something was genuinely wrong, something she was actively concealing. The comfortable mist of my life began to feel less like a gentle shroud and more like a suffocating fog, hiding something I desperately needed and feared to see. The suspicion gnawed at me. I wasn't a naturally suspicious person. Trusting Olivia had been as fundamental as believing the sun would rise over the Pacific each morning. But the little things added up, creating a dissonance I couldn't ignore. I started paying closer attention, noticing patterns. The work emergencies often coincided with specific days of the week. Her mood would be elevated before these nights, almost giddy, and then strangely subdued or irritable the next day. She started taking calls in other rooms, her voice low. My internal debate was agonizing. Was I becoming paranoid? Was this just the strain of our marriage showing in ugly ways? The guilt of even thinking she might be hiding something felt like a betrayal of my own. But the need to know, to understand the source of this chasm between us, finally outweighed the self-recrimination. I wasn't tech-savvy, but my younger sister Sarah worked in IT in Portland. She was sharp, fiercely loyal, and knew Olivia well enough to sense something was off when I called her, trying to sound casual but failing miserably. I mumbled something about needing help with a potential virus on Olivia's laptop, a transparent lie. Sarah saw right through it. "Ethan," she said gently, her voice tight with concern. "What's really going on?" Breaking down on the phone to Sarah felt like cracking open a dam. The fear, the confusion, the raw hurt poured out. I told her about the distance, the late nights, the phone incidents, the Salty Bean cup. Sarah listened patiently. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Okay, Ethan," she said finally, her voice firm. "Let's figure this out. Bring me the laptop. And any phone bills you can find, credit card statements, anything that might show unusual activity." The next few days were a blur of quiet desperation and calculated risk. I waited until Olivia was out, her car pulling away down the street, the familiar sound of the engine fading. My hands trembled as I went through her things, not rifling through drawers, but looking for anything out of the ordinary. The phone bills showed calls to an unfamiliar number at odd hours. Her work expense reports had entries for hotels in nearby towns, sometimes coinciding with her business trips. It wasn't conclusive, not yet, but it painted a disturbing picture. Sarah worked fast. A few days later, she called me back, her voice grim. "Ethan," she started, and my heart plummeted. "There's a lot here. Deleted texts, emails. A separate email account you didn't know about." She paused, taking a breath. "It's Victor Sterling. Victor Sterling." The name hit me like a physical blow. Victor. Prominent local businessman, head of a successful construction firm, charismatic, always hosting charity events, married to Maya. We knew them. Our kids had played together at town picnics. Olivia had worked on some advertising campaigns for his company. He was the picture of respectability, a pillar of the Havenwood community. The irony of him offering a toast to strong marriages and community values at the last town fair flashed sickeningly in my mind. Sarah laid out the evidence. 2 years. It had been going on for 2 years. All the distance, the criticism, the feeling of inadequacy. It wasn't me. It was him. It was them. The texts were sickeningly intimate, detailing clandestine meetings, stolen weekends, expressions of love and escape. They talked about their spouses, about me, with a casual cruelty that turned my stomach. My home, my life, had been a stage for their deceit. The comfortable mist of Havenwood suddenly felt suffocating, poisoned. I wasn't inadequate. I was a fool. The rage came first, hot and blinding. I wanted to scream, to smash things, to confront them both publicly and expose their hypocrisy to the entire town. But beneath the rage was a deeper, colder pain, a profound sense of loss and betrayal that went bone deep. The life I thought I had, the marriage I believed in, the person I thought Olivia was, it was all a lie. Sarah was a rock. She let me vent, rage, cry. She reminded me of my kids, of the need for clarity and strategic thinking, not just emotional explosion. "You need proof that holds up," she advised. "You need a plan." A plan. The word felt alien when my world had just imploded. But she was right. I couldn't confront them like this, not without solid ground under my feet. They would lie, deny, twist things, just like Olivia had been doing for 2 years. I needed to be ready. The thought of Maya Sharma came to me slowly, tentatively. Victor's wife. My wife's affair partner's wife. She was another victim in this mess. Did she know? Had she suspected? The texts showed Victor talking about her dismissively, complaining about her lack of understanding. It was a long shot, a terrifying one. But maybe she was going through something similar. Maybe she was the key to getting undeniable proof. Finding her contact information wasn't hard in a town like Havenwood. Calling her was one of the hardest things I've ever done. My hand shook as I dialed the number Sarah had found. When she answered, her voice was quiet, composed, but with an undertone of weariness I now recognized in myself. "Maya? Hi, this is Ethan Walker, Olivia's husband." There was a pause, a sharp intake of breath. "Ethan, yes, I know who you are." Her voice was guarded, swallowing hard. I plunged in. "Maya, I think our spouses are having an affair, a long-term one. I have some evidence. I don't know if you have suspicions, but I thought you should know. And maybe we could talk." Another pause, longer this time. Then, quietly, "I've had my suspicions, Ethan, for a while now. Victor has been different, distant, late nights, business trips that felt off. I haven't been able to find concrete proof." Her voice was trembling slightly now. "Yes, Ethan, I want to talk. Where and when?" We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe in a neighbouring town, away from prying Havenwood eyes. Sitting across from Maya felt surreal. She was just as described, poised, elegant, with a quiet strength about her. But her eyes held the same haunted look I saw in the mirror. We laid out our pieces of the puzzle, her intuitions, his behaviour patterns, my concrete evidence, the texts, emails, hotel bills. Seeing it all compiled side by side was devastatingly clear. 2 years of calculated deception, woven into the fabric of our lives, right under our noses. The anger returned, but this time it was shared, a silent, burning understanding between us. We weren't just victims, we were allies. We talked for hours, not just about the betrayal, but about our lives, our kids, the future we thought we had. Maya was strong, practical. "We can't let them control the narrative," she said, her voice firm. "We need to get our ducks in a row. Legal counsel, a plan to protect the kids, and we need to confront them on our terms with undeniable proof. Current part characters, 3199. Total characters, 8,562. Over the next few weeks, Maya and I worked in secret. We hired lawyers, separate ones, but they were aware of our coordinated effort. We gathered more evidence, times, dates, locations. It was sickening work, reading through the details of their sordid affair, imagining them in places that should have been sacred, or at least private. The casual cruelty, the lies they told us, the way they mocked our concerns. It fueled our resolve. This wasn't just about hurt. It was about a fundamental lack of respect for us, for our families, for the commitments we had made. We decided a quiet, private confrontation wouldn't be enough. They needed to understand the gravity of what they had done, the public nature of their deceit, and the fact that we were united. We learned they were planning a weekend getaway, staying at a small, secluded inn a couple of hours up the coast, the Whispering Pines Inn, a place known for its romantic ambience. It was the perfect, terrible location. Our lawyers advised us on the legalities. We couldn't trespass, couldn't cause a scene that would jeopardize future proceedings, but we could serve them with divorce papers, formally and undeniably. We arranged for a process server to meet us there on Saturday morning. Sarah offered to come with me, just to be there, a silent witness and support. The drive up the Oregon coast that Saturday was shrouded in a thick atmospheric fog rolling in from the Pacific. The ocean was a muted roar somewhere beyond the cliffs. My stomach churned with a mixture of dread and grim determination. Sarah sat beside me, quiet but present. We arrived at the Whispering Pines Inn just before noon. It was rustic, charming, the kind of place couples went to reconnect. The irony was a bitter taste in my mouth. We met the process server, a no-nonsense woman named Brenda, in the small, unoccupied lobby. She confirmed the details, the room numbers. "Okay, Mr. Walker," Brenda said, holding a thick envelope. "We'll call up to the room. She'll be asked to come down to the lobby to meet you. Mr. Sterling's wife is handling him separately, correct?" "Yes," I confirmed, my voice raspy. Maya was at Victor's room, a few doors down, with her own server. We had timed it precisely. Brenda picked up the lobby phone, her voice professional as she asked for Miss Hayes's room. I stood there, clutching the divorce papers, the polished wood of the counter cold to my clammy hands. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it, the point of no return. A few minutes later, the elevator doors opened and Olivia stepped out. She was wearing a plush white bathrobe from the inn, her hair slightly damp, a relaxed smile on her face. It vanished the instant she saw me standing there, Sarah beside me, Brenda holding the envelope. Her eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in fury. "Ethan, what the hell are you doing here?" she hissed, glancing around the empty lobby. "Olivia," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "Someone's here to see you." Brenda stepped forward. "Olivia Hayes?" Olivia stared at her, then back at me, her face paling. "Yes?" "I'm Brenda Jenkins, a process server. I have legal documents for you." Brenda extended the envelope. Olivia didn't take it. She just stared, her eyes darting between Brenda and me. "What is this?" "Ethan, what is this?" "It's exactly what it looks like, Olivia," I said, stepping slightly closer. I know about you and Victor, all of it, for 2 years." Her face crumpled, shifting from disbelief to panic to a desperate, ugly anger. "You? You've been spying on me? How could you, Ethan?" "How dare you? How dare I?" The words were quiet, but the force behind them felt immense. "How dare you, Olivia? In our home? For 2 years? Lying to my face every single day?" "It's not what you think. I can explain," she cried, her voice rising, attracting the attention of a staff member behind the counter. Brenda cleared her throat. "Miss Hayes, you are being served divorce papers. Please take the envelope." Olivia finally snatched the papers, clutching them like they were contaminated. Tears streamed down her face, but they looked like tears of frustration and being caught, not remorse. "Divorce? You're divorcing me? After everything? How could you do this? This is your fault, you know. You drove me away." "Stop, Olivia," I said, cutting her off. "The blame, the gaslighting, I wouldn't tolerate it anymore. It's over. I know everything, and so does Maya." The mention of Maya seemed to shock her more than the divorce papers. Her mouth fell open. At that moment, Maya walked into the lobby area, her face pale but resolute, having just served Victor. Our eyes met across the room, a silent acknowledgement of our shared painful victory. Olivia saw Maya and her eyes blazed with a new kind of hatred. You put her up to this, didn't you? You and that woman." "Olivia, calm down," I said, stepping back. She lunged towards me, grabbing my arm, her nails digging in. "You can't leave me. You can't do this. We can fix this. It was just a mistake. People make mistakes. Let go of me, Olivia." My voice was low, dangerous. Brenda stepped between us. "Ma'am, you need to release him. This is not the place for this. Get away from me. Olivia shrieked at Brenda, clinging to my arm. Ma'am, I will have to call the local sheriff if you do not let go immediately, Brenda warned, reaching for her phone. That seemed to snap Olivia back to reality, or perhaps just fear of further public humiliation. Her grip loosened, and she stumbled back, sobbing openly now. You'll regret this, Ethan. You'll regret this. I looked at her, this woman I had loved, this stranger consumed by her own panic. There was no regret in me, only a profound, weary sadness for the death of what I thought we had. It's already regretted, Olivia, I said softly, my gaze meeting Maya's briefly before I turned and walked away, out of the inn, into the damp, cool air of Havenwood, leaving her standing there with the papers in her hand. Later that day, Maya called. Victor had apparently reacted with similar shock and denial, immediately calling Olivia. Their panicked phone calls to each other, scrambling to understand how they'd been caught, provided a grim satisfaction. They had blindsided us with their affair. We had blindsided them with our response. The divorce process began, messy and drawn out, just as expected. Both Olivia and Victor contested the papers, claiming they never intended to leave their spouses, that it was just sex, a fantasy that got out of hand. Their lawyers tried to paint us as vengeful, unreasonable. It was exhausting. Navigating the fallout with the children was the hardest part. Sam, at 10, was confused and upset, but seemed to process it in a more straightforward way. He was sad his parents were splitting up, but he also saw Olivia's distance and my unhappiness. Chloe, 15, was devastated, but her grief quickly turned to anger directed squarely at Olivia. We told them together, Olivia and I, sitting them down in the living room, the room that had held so many family movie nights and board game sessions. We kept it simple, age-appropriate. Mommy and Daddy have made some mistakes, I explained, choosing my words carefully, and because of those mistakes, we've decided that the best thing for our family is for us to live in separate houses now. It doesn't mean we don't love you. We love you more than anything. Chloe's eyes, usually so bright, were dark with hurt. Mistakes? What kind of mistakes? Olivia started to speak, something about growing apart, but I gently cut her off. Mistakes that broke a promise, honey. A very important promise between a husband and a wife. It caused a lot of pain, and we can't fix it. Chloe looked at Olivia, her expression hardening. Was it about those nights you weren't home, when you said you were working? The directness of her question stunned Olivia into silence. I answered, my voice quiet. Yes, honey, it was. From that moment, Chloe's relationship with Olivia became incredibly strained. She was defiant, withdrawn, sometimes outright hostile towards her mother. She refused physical affection, sulked during visits, and once, in a moment of raw pain, she yelled, "I hate you. None of this would have happened if you hadn't lied." It broke my heart to see her in so much pain, and to see Olivia struggle to cope with her daughter's rejection. Olivia would beg me to talk to Chloe, to make her understand, to fix it. I would remind her gently, but firmly, that she was the one who had broken the trust, and she was the one who needed to earn it back. My role was to support Chloe, to give her space to feel her emotions, and to ensure she knew she was loved unconditionally by me. Meanwhile, Olivia's attempts at reconciliation with me were relentless. She'd show up at the house when I was there, tearful, pleading. "It was a mistake, Ethan. A terrible, stupid mistake. I was lost. I was unhappy. Victor manipulated me. We can work through this. People do. Look at this book I'm reading. I'm in therapy. I'll do anything." She'd leave the book she was reading, Healing Your Marriage After Infidelity, strategically placed on the counter. She'd text me late at night, reminiscing about good times. She even suggested, during one particularly bizarre conversation, a trial separation, where I could explore other relationships to even the score and get my confidence back while she waited faithfully. It was a desperate, manipulative idea that showed she still fundamentally misunderstood the depth of the betrayal and my need for authenticity, not artificial justice. I held firm. My resolve, initially born of rage and a need for justice, solidified into a quiet certainty. There was no going back. The foundation was shattered. The trust was annihilated. I couldn't unsee her deceit, couldn't unfeel the years of subtle manipulation and lies. I told her calmly but unequivocally that we were divorcing, and there was no possibility of reconciliation. My friends, even my mother initially, urged me to reconsider, to think of the children, to forgive. "Everyone makes mistakes, Ethan," my mother had said, meaning well. It was hard, the guilt of causing Olivia pain, even when she had caused me so much more. But I knew, deep down, that staying in a marriage built on such fundamental dishonesty would be a slow death for all of us, especially the children, who would eventually sense the rot beneath the surface. I refused to be someone's backup plan, someone they only wanted back when their fantasy fell apart. "I will not tolerate disrespect," I told my mother, the words feeling like a bedrock I could stand on. Maya and I continued to meet. Initially, it was purely for mutual support, comparing notes on the divorce process, sharing the latest absurdities from our soon-to-be exes. We understood each other's pain in a way no one else could. We could talk openly about the anger, the humiliation, the fear for the future. We began spending more time together, cautious at first, just companionship. Dinners, walks along the beach, watching the relentless waves crash against the shore. It was a quiet, healing presence in each other's lives. There was no pressure, no expectation. We were two people navigating similar storms, finding unexpected shelter together. Maya was easy to be with, grounded, intelligent, with a dry wit that could make me laugh even on the darkest days. She never pushed, never demanded. She just saw me, the real me, the one who was hurting and trying to rebuild. As the months passed and the divorces slowly ground towards finalization, something shifted between us. The shared trauma had forged a unique bond, but it was the shared values, the mutual respect, the quiet comfort we found in each other's company that began to hint at something more. It was tentative, fragile, born from the ashes of betrayal, but it felt real. It felt safe. We talked about it, cautiously. Was this just a trauma bond, a rebound, or was it something genuine? We agreed to take things incredibly slow, to prioritize our children and our own healing. We wouldn't rush into anything, wouldn't confuse comfort with love, wouldn't allow the past to contaminate the possibility of a future. The divorces were finalized about 1.5 years after the confrontation at the inn. It wasn't a celebration. It was a quiet, somber end. I felt a profound sense of loss, mourning the death of the marriage I had believed in, even as I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Olivia moved into a smaller apartment in town, a significant downsize from our family home, which I was able to buy her out of, thanks to careful financial planning with my lawyer. She was visibly unhappy, struggling to adjust. Victor, I heard, was equally miserable, still trying to win Maya back, facing his own social and professional consequences. My relationship with Maya slowly, naturally deepened. We moved from friendship to dating, cautiously, privately at first. We were acutely aware of the children and the need to introduce this new dynamic with care. We talked to our kids separately and together, explaining that we were seeing each other, that it was a new step, and that their feelings were important. Sam took it well. He liked Maya. She was kind and funny. Chloe was more reserved. She was still struggling with her relationship with Olivia, and the idea of me moving on, especially with the wife of the man her mother had the affair with, was complicated for her. She didn't object, didn't forbid it, but she was quiet, watching, processing. "I want you to be happy, Dad," she'd say, but there was a sadness in her eyes. I reassured her repeatedly that her feelings were valid, that she didn't have to pretend to be okay with it, and that her relationship with her mother was her own journey, separate from mine. Over the next couple of years, we slowly blended our lives. Family dinners, weekend outings with all 4 kids, Sam, Chloe, Maya's daughter Anya, and son Liam. There were awkward moments, misunderstandings, the usual challenges of merging 2 families built on different histories and recent trauma. But there were also moments of unexpected joy and connection. Seeing Anya and Chloe laughing together over a shared joke, watching Sam and Liam team up for a video game, seeing Maya interact so naturally and warmly with my children, it filled a space in my heart I hadn't realized was so empty. Maya was everything Olivia hadn't been, not just in the absence of betrayal, but in her presence. She was open, communicative, and genuinely interested in my feelings and needs. Our intimacy, when it developed, was built on mutual desire and respect, a stark contrast to the performative or distant sex of my later marriage. With Maya, I felt seen, desired, and truly connected, perhaps for the first time in a very long time. The emasculation I had felt with Olivia, the sense of being inadequate and unwanted, slowly began to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence. Olivia was still in Havenwood, still struggling. Her relationship with Chloe slowly improved, painstakingly, through consistent effort and individual therapy for both of them. Chloe started to forgive her mother, not forgetting what happened, but finding a way to move past the intense anger. It was a difficult, ongoing process, but I was proud of both of them for trying. Olivia still occasionally made comments about me, about Maya, sometimes trying to stir up drama, but I had learned to set firm boundaries, responding only when necessary regarding the children. She saw Maya around town sometimes, and the tension was palpable. Victor, I heard, was a mess. His new relationship wasn't going well, and he was facing professional repercussions for some questionable business practices that came to light during his divorce. Seeing him humbled, facing consequences, wasn't about revenge for me anymore. It was simply a matter of justice, of the universe rebalancing itself, however imperfectly. Years have passed since that foggy Saturday morning at the Whispering Pines Inn. My life now is not the life I planned, not the life I thought I wanted. The picture of the perfect family, the stable marriage, that was a facade. The reality, messy and painful as it was to uncover, led me down a path I never could have imagined. I still teach history at the middle school. I still tend my garden, but now my home is filled with a different kind of warmth. Maya and I are a unit, a partnership. Our children, while distinct individuals with their own challenges and relationships with their other parents, are growing into a blended family. Anya, Maya's youngest, sometimes introduces me as her bonus dad or stepdad without prompting, a simple, innocent phrase that means the world to me. Chloe, now a young adult, is navigating her relationship with both her parents with more maturity and understanding. She knows Maya is important to me, and while she still has her own complex feelings about the past, she accepts and respects our life together. Healing wasn't a straight line. There were setbacks, triggers, days when the pain of the betrayal would resurface unexpectedly. Therapy was crucial, helping me process the trauma, understand my own reactions, and learn to trust again. Learning to trust myself, my own instincts, was perhaps the most important lesson. I had blamed myself for so long for not being enough, for not seeing the truth. Now I understood that the only person responsible for the betrayal was the one who chose to betray. I learned that justice isn't always about inflicting pain on others. Sometimes it's about reclaiming your own peace and building a life based on truth and respect. I didn't need Olivia or Victor to suffer endlessly to feel whole. My wholeness came from within, from setting boundaries, from choosing authenticity, and from finding connection with someone who valued those same things. My relationship with Maya isn't a fairy tale ending. It's real, grounded, built on mutual understanding, shared history, and deliberate effort. We support each other, challenge each other, and love each other fiercely. We are two people who went through hell and found each other on the other side, not as damaged goods, but as resilient individuals capable of building something new and beautiful from the wreckage. I think about the person I was before, the one who was desperate to fix a broken thing he didn't understand, the one who blamed himself for another person's choices. That person is gone. The mist has cleared. I see myself, my life, and the world with a clarity I lacked before. To anyone going through similar pain, I would offer this. Trust your gut. Seek the truth. Don't let anyone, not even the person you love, convince you to tolerate disrespect or settle for less than you deserve. Your worth is not determined by someone else's choices. Healing is possible, but it's a journey you have to take for yourself. And sometimes, just sometimes, the end of one story is simply the beginning of another, one that might be harder, but ultimately more true. Right now in Havenwood, with the scent of salt and pine in the air, things are good. Not a perfect happily ever after, but a quiet, hard-earned peace. And that is more than enough. Current part characters, 3007. Total characters, 2784. The house feels different now, lighter. It's still the same structure where I raised my kids with Olivia, where the betrayal unfolded in the quiet corners, but it's been cleansed, filled with new memories. Maya's art hangs on the walls, vibrant watercolors of the Oregon coast, capturing the shifting light and the power of the ocean. Her books line the shelves next to mine. The kids' laughter echoes through the rooms, a blend of 4 distinct voices that somehow harmonize. Sam, now a teenager, is navigating high school, football practice, and the usual teenage dramas. He's adjusted remarkably well to the blended family. He sees Olivia regularly, and their relationship is stable, if not overly deep. With Maya, he has a comfortable, easy rapport, sharing jokes and talking about school. Chloe, in college now, still carries the scars of the past, but she's processed so much. She and Olivia have found a fragile peace. It wasn't easy. There were years of strained phone calls, awkward visits, and therapy sessions. But Olivia, to her credit, finally seemed to understand the depth of the damage she had caused to their bond. She stopped trying to win me back and focused on rebuilding trust with her daughter. It's still a work in progress, but the raw anger has subsided, replaced by a cautious understanding. Chloe and Maya have a respectful relationship. It's not the same as the bond Maya has with Anya or Liam, but it's genuine. Chloe sees how happy Maya makes me, and I know that matters to her. Anya and Liam are thriving. They see their dad, Victor, but his life seems unstable, a constant source of drama. Maya handles it with grace and firmness, always prioritizing the kids' well-being. My relationship with Anya and Liam has grown organically. I'm their stepdad, a steady presence in their lives, someone they can talk to, rely on. It feels natural, a different kind of fatherhood than with my own biological children, but equally meaningful. We still encounter Olivia and Victor sometimes in Havenwood. It's unavoidable in a small town. The initial awkwardness and tension have lessened, replaced by a polite, distant civility. There's no animosity, at least not overtly. I see Olivia sometimes at the grocery store or a school event for Sam when he was still in middle school. She looks older, perhaps, the strain of the last few years etched around her eyes, even when she smiles that practiced smile. I feel a flicker of something. Not love, not hate, maybe pity, maybe just the ghost of a shared past, but it passes quickly. She's a part of my history, the mother of my children, but she is no longer a part of my present or my future. Victor is more of a cautionary tale whispered around town. His business took a hit, his reputation tarnished. He tried to salvage things, but the foundation was rotten. I haven't spoken to him directly in years, not since that brief, awkward encounter he initiated early on, trying to apologize. His apology felt empty, self-serving. I simply nodded, said there was nothing to discuss, and walked away. Seeing him now, he seems diminished, the arrogance replaced by a restless anxiety. Maya and I sometimes talk about how different our lives are now. We laugh about the absurdity of how we met, the sheer audacity of our spouses' actions. We acknowledge the pain we went through, the trauma that will always be a part of our stories. But we don't dwell there. We focus on the life we've built, the family we've created. There are still moments, small triggers, a song on the radio, a phrase, a memory, that can bring back a flash of the hurt, the anger. But they are just flashes now, not the overwhelming darkness they once were. They are reminders of how far I've come, the fire I walked through and survived. I learned that healing isn't about forgetting, or even necessarily about forgiving the person who hurt you. It's about forgiving yourself, for not knowing, for not seeing, for staying too long, for blaming yourself. It's about reclaiming your own narrative, your own worth. And it's about building something new, something authentic. My marriage to Olivia was built on a facade, a shared performance of happiness that crumbled under the weight of her deceit. My relationship with Maya is built on shared vulnerability, mutual respect, and an honest acceptance of who we are, flaws and all. We don't pretend, we communicate, we show up for each other. That I've learned, is the foundation of a truly strong connection. We haven't remarried. The concept of marriage after everything still feels complicated. Perhaps one day, perhaps not. What we have feels solid, committed, a partnership that doesn't need a legal document to validate its strength. Our focus is on our children, on our life together.